Hey, Fred. Oh, hey, Chris Baptiste. I'm gonna rename you. You're still muted. Hold on. Ta-da! Hey, Debbie.
All right. How does that work? You hear me?
Okay, you're here. Gotcha. Miss Boyd. How are you?
Evening.
Good.
Oh no, I didn't lose your number. Actually, the night I met you. Started writing something.
Jesus. Hey, good evening, Vivia.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
How you doing?
Good, and yourself?
I'm okay. You're the only one on?
No, Fred and Alicia are here, and Debbie.
Oh, okay. I can't.
Debbie might have stepped away for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, we're here.
Evening, Vivia.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Doing
Vivi.
okay.
Hi, Alicia. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good, good. I'm gonna step away for a minute, but I'm listening.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ruby, Calvin's girlfriend. I don't think we've met.
Miss Boyd, are you in two meetings at one time?
No, watching a movie.
I want to say busted.
No, I'm not double dipping the way some people do. I'm just watching this movie, waiting for you guys to begin. Because I got two screens, so I can.
Okay.
She can see me.
Fancy. Okay.
You can see her.
Okay, let's.
But I'll stop it.
Make this more certain. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Okay, I'm here all the way.
So what was the movie?
Right. You got to share. What was the movie that?
You gotta share, yeah.
It's this movie about this writer who creates an imaginary woman, and then she becomes real.
Oh,
He's creating her, and then all of a sudden she pops up in his house, real.
yikes. Okay.
Yeah. So I just got to the point where he's just freaking out because she just popped up.
Oh, okay.
You know, a romantic comedy. A little bit of
Okay.
sci-fi in there. It's just-
Gotcha.
What's the name of the movie?
Ruby Sparks. Yeah, Ruby Sparks.
Okay.
About 10 years old, I think. It's been around for a while.
Okay.
It's cute.
So is it thumbs up or thumbs down? What are you doing to give it so
I'm
far?
kind of liking it.
Okay.
Hi, Debbie. It's nice to see you. Oh, we see Trump in the background.
He's giving his farewell speech.
Oh, is
In the
it?
background is where he needs to fade.
Oh, is he now doing his farewell speech?
Hey, Debbie. He had I think a pre-taped farewell speech.
Oh, so he's finally conceding.
No, he didn't do that.
No.
He didn't do that.
No.
He gave his
I'm
farewell
coming
speech.
back.
He's just acknowledged that there'll be a change in administration tomorrow. That's about as far as.
Oh, okay.
But he did wish them luck. I think he did wish them luck.
That
I
must
think he wished them success.
that
Right.
was very difficult for him.
And also
Well, his
said
face scrunched up when he said it too.
his movement that he started is just the beginning.
Oh,
So
movement. Oh, you talking about the coup? Oh, okay. The revolution. Overthrowing the government.
it was televised. Right.
Right. The revolution has been televised. So it's just begun. That's what he said. His movement is just begun. 4 years. It's been a nightmare.
I guess all the money he made, he can afford to have his own movement.
Right.
Yeah, he's got
Hey, Miss Moses.
4 million followers. So
Yep.
Right. He was disbarred in New York today, right?
Yeah.
He
Was
was.
he removed from the Bar Association?
Yeah.
Oh, is he an attorney?
Giuliani
Oh,
was,
Giuliani.
was disbarred today.
Well, no, was he disbarred? Because I think I was almost getting at that. I don't know if he got disbarred, but he's not part. I think the Bar Association kicked him out.
Oh,
Maybe
keep
that's
them out
it.
of the
Yeah, because the press
association.
release is from the Bar Association.
Yeah. So he can still practice law, but I mean, he's not part of the New York State Bar Association.
Right.
Nice. It's nice.
But still a horrible way to end his political career.
Is it? It's not finished. Julie ain't going nowhere.
It's
Julie,
Thursday.
he's gonna be defending this guy on all his lawsuits.
Because I mean, he did so great in the other 50. You know.
Right.
Listen, he has to keep Trump as a client because that's the only person who's going to hire him right now.
It's interesting to see how it's going to play out. All
Yeah.
these characters.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Pat.
Good evening.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good and yourself?
Doing good.
They're hanging in there. Mia,
Good evening, everyone.
Mia, did you get my minutes? That's it.
Hold on. I gotta open the email.
Oh, okay. So you did get it then.
Give me a second. What time you sent it?
About 11:45.
Yeah. Hold on. Because I know it either comes from you or Nolan.
Right.
Oh.
Second. I'll open it up. Hold on. I don't want to disrupt my Zoom.
You don't have to. I'm just saying, if you didn't get it, just let me know because I sent it to you earlier. So it's not a big deal.
Okay,
Very
perfect.
big deal.
So I'll check after the meeting.
True.
Yakov.
Yeah, what did Warren said?
Report to executive. Hi, Yakov. How are you?
Very busy, but I came on to say hi to everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, it didn't start yet.
No, we're probably going to call it to order in about another 2 minutes.
Warren sent me a text like they're waiting for me, like there's something that I'm needed on this meeting for. Warren, are you there?
He's there.
Yes, I am. Yes, you need it for a chat.
Listen to me. I'm coming tomorrow to the meeting. I was not make plans to come tonight, but I thought there was something that was timely, so I said I'll sign on.
Okay.
Hey, Alejandra, how are you?
Another email, another one I texted. Hi, Alejandra. It's Warren.
Yaka.
Oh, I think she's in the chat. I believe she said she's logging in through the phone, so she may not have the capabilities as if she was logged in from her on the phone. Just give her, yeah. She said she's on the phone.
Yaka.
Yes.
Your beard is getting longer and longer.
I'm gonna tell you the secret, but not on a city meeting where everything's recorded. I don't care. It's getting secret longer. Tradition we have in the Jewish community, and I don't want it to be public city record.
Okay. I just want to let you know it's getting a little long. That's it.
You have to schmaltz. You know what schmaltz is?
What does that mean?
No,
schmaltz? You put in schmaltz. You put in schmaltz.
I don't know.
We need a little bit more clarification, Yaakov.
Y'all really trying to push?
Yeah, you need it.
You're really trying to push this on.
No, schmaltz is chicken fat. Correct, Yaakov?
I don't know what that is.
It's melted chicken fat. You take chicken fat and you lightly fry it for about an hour, and it turns into sort of like a oily substance.
So what's the point of this?
I don't know.
You put it on the beard, it grows much faster, Warren.
Oh,
that's okay. Maybe I'll try it on. Maybe I'll try it on my head.
I thought I was gonna go all the way left, but I'll take that. Thanks, Yaakov.
Yes, we will leave it at that. Yes.
Yeah, let's leave it right there.
But you have to do it. You have to do it when the schmaltz is hot.
CB9.
Learn something every day. Thanks, guys.
All right. The time is on 7:11. I believe we do have a quorum of the executive committee here, so we will call the meeting to order. Time is now 7. Alejandro, are you able to take notes or?
Her phone said that she's. Her message in the chat says that she's on the phone. If not, we can just pull it from the recording.
Okay, and that's fine. We can do it that way as well then. Okay, so one, I would just want to welcome everyone to the executive committee meeting for January 2021, first one of 2021. I hope that the new year finds everyone well and healthy and safe, and that your loved ones are healthy and safe as well. So I'm excited in terms of, I think that for us, January kind of represents, in a sense, the midpoint for the board in a lot of ways. And mean, looking back, I want to say that I'm really, really happy and proud of the work this board has done. We've accomplished a lot in just a few months that we've been in session, and I'm looking forward to even more, bigger and better coming out from Community Board 9. I think we've started institutionalizing a lot of things. I think the committees have really been working hard. We're gelling, we're creating best practices around the way to do events, the way we meet, the way we have our conversations as well. So I'm just saying I'm very, really proud as the chair of this board. And we're going to continue this momentum and even bigger and better things in the future. Okay, so with that, we are going to now go to item 2, which will be the committee chair check-ins. Let's see, Yakov, would you be able to give any updates with regards to public safety?
Yeah, we did not have any applications this month in time, and we have a policy that if you don't submit it 7 days before, we don't, hear your application. So we did not have any applications, so we did not review anything. So there was no meeting this month. Yeah.
Okay, so no applications.
There are 2 applications that we're waiting for submission. When they give all their paperwork, we will review it.
Okay, that's fine then. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for the report. Well, before you go, Jakob, are there any questions for the public safety chair? Okay.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just asking if anybody had any questions for you. That's all. But I think I don't think there's any other information. So thank you very much.
I mean, everybody does know there's a new commanding officer in 71st. And I think that at a future date, we'd like to bring him to the board to introduce himself. And it's been several hit and runs in Crown Heights and other incidents of crime. And as always, we're working closely with the community and with the police department and with any organizations that want to be involved to try to prevent crime from happening before it happens. We can continue doing that.
I would like to make a comment about the new 71st Precinct commander. He has a serious history of abuse of residents. He's got like a sheet on him, and I'm wondering if he would be the best fit for this community, considering that he has a lot of allegations of abuse against residents in communities of color. And I just want to know why he is now stationed in this community, and what that was about. I don't know if we really need a captain who has a history of abuse in communities of color now being in control of the crime in our community. And what is the board's position regarding that?
The board hasn't adopted any position. With regards to his being installed as the precinct commander, the board has no insight or input into that process. That's an NYPD process. But nonetheless, he's here, and he is the precinct commander. And at the earliest possibility, we are going to make sure that we're opening communications with him to make sure he understands our issues and to make sure that there's a channel of communication with regards to that. I'm not sure what's going to happen in successive administrations, because I understand that there have been conversations with regards to the process in terms of how our precinct commander is appointed, what's going to be the criteria, if community have input into that, but we're not at that stage yet. But again, we're just going to have the conversation with him and let him know that we are here and we are always going to advocate on behalf of him. Okay. All right. With that, we are going to move. Debbie, Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for economic development?
So our committee met on the 11th, which was last Monday. And, we continue to, dialogue on the current issues and concerns about small business in the community. So we are compiling information with contacts and important information that, small businesses can access. And we're also working on doing a support shop local sign. So we will be presenting those things to the board, you know, for feedback. And pretty much that's it. You know, we're just trying to stay on top of what's going on. I know that there's monies that's being dispersed from 2020. So hopefully some of the small businesses can, you know, get some of that funding. So we are looking into, you know, what the, you know, the who, what, why, when, how, and all those things to see how we can, you know, get that information and get it to, you know, the local businesses. And that's about it for right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions for the Chair of Economic Development?
So if anyone has any information to share or, you know, provide us with, we can accept that as well. So feel free. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Okay, we're going to move. Vivia, would you like to give a report for Parks, Recreation, and Culture?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So we met last week, Thursday, I'm sorry. And we had a presentation, Warren set up a presentation with the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. And we decided that we're gonna have a subcommittee meeting to discuss the Adapa Park, so we could bring different events and programs in the district parks. So hopefully we should have a meeting scheduled next week. I believe next week, or no, we have a meeting scheduled Thursday. Sorry. So we're gonna get some more information on that, and then we'll present it at the general meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I do have a question. The last time, at the last executive board meeting, there was supposed to be a subcommittee that was supposed to be created to focus on the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. Whatever happened to that subcommittee?
Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna meet Thursday, and we didn't get a chance to meet, but this week we're gonna meet. Julia, she's setting up the meeting, the Zoom meeting. If I'll send you the link if you wanna attend. And that's basically it. We're just gonna figure out how we could bring the different programs to the community parks.
Okay.
Okay.
I was under the impression that the subcommittee was actually going to look at some of the ramifications of the proposed 960 Franklin rezoning on the garden.
We didn't discuss that.
So that subcommittee was never going to happen?
It never did. It never happened.
Well, if I can interject for a second, and correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding was I think the subcommittee was supposed to be about park alienation. I think that had been a conversation that had come up, which might have been mooted. And I think that part of the reason why it didn't get up is because that might have been mooted at that point with regards to the early word we had received with regards to 960 Franklin. But I think there's still probably a conversation that should happen. But I will leave that to the chair of the committee to organize that and to make sure that, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're gonna meet on Thursday, so I'm sure that would be a part of the conversation, but we didn't discuss it as yet.
Yes, because Fred, you did note that DCP has notified you that they plan on certifying the application, correct?
That is correct, and that will be discussed as well.
Okay.
Will be discussed.
Oh yes, Vivia, if you could, you know, send around an email blast, I would appreciate it. Okay. Well, it's supposed to be sent around anyway from the Brooklyn office, right? because it's a subcommittee of a community board.
Yeah, that was just a note I was going to ask. So Vivian, if you could ask Julie if she's organizing that, please make sure she works with the district officer, Mia and Khalid, because we have to make sure that still has to go by all the notice requirements, and we need to put it out through our channels.
Okay, so we'll send it out tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vivian. I see our second vice chair, Francisco Leopold. Do you have a report for Health and Social Services?
Yeah, good night, everyone. We met, when did we meet? I forget the date. January 1st, we met. We had our meeting as usual. We discussed homelessness in the community. And we are looking into, for each month, that we will have a health segment. So we're looking at mental health. Suicide is on the rise in the community, so we'll be addressing that as well, and diabetes. For this month, we have a doctor coming in from, and I think our first vice chair, he can give a little bit more insight on that because he's organizing it. So we'll have a doctor coming from Kings County Hospital because we know, I know how I feel, and I know some of our community members, how they feel about the COVID vaccine. So we have a doctor coming in at our general membership meeting. So anybody in the community who have any questions in regards to the vaccine, because the first phase that we have, the vaccine that they have now is for this phase. The new strain that's coming in, they don't have a vaccine for it as yet. So there were many questions that was asked. So if anybody have any questions regarding the vaccine, so you could invite your friends so they could come and they can ask all the questions that need to be answered at our meeting. I think that's next week. And also Mia and I, because of the weather and with my work schedule, we're supposed to go out in the community. So we're looking to start from Eastern Parkway to give out some PPEs. I'm trying to get some, we do have masks, but I'm trying to get some hand sanitizers. So we are scheduling once a week. So if anyone have the time on a Friday, we'll try to go at lunchtime, take an hour out to give out some PPE. So every other week we try to do a subway stop. So we'll start from Eastern Parkway and come down to all the way to Clarkson. So Mia will put it out there so as to when we are going so we can get some help. Warren, would you like to elaborate on the doctor who's coming, give a little more insight on that, please?
Sure. Hi, it's Warren Burke, First Vice Chair. At the Kings County, I'm also the chair of the Kings County Community Advisory Board. At our last, I believe, Behavioral Health Committee meeting, a resident raised the question as to what are the myths or what are the rumors in the neighborhood concerning the vaccine. So hearing that and identifying the two issues, one being why was the vaccine developed so fast? And number two, are communities of color, as our community, which is our catchment area, are receiving lower dosages than other people. So hearing that, we arranged to have a clinician from King County Hospital at our next board meeting who will essentially either debunk or agree with the myths. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Warren. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Well, you don't get off that easy, Grant. Are there any questions for the Chair of Health and Social Services?
I have a question. When is the vaccine going to be offered to the people in the community?
I can answer that. It's Warren. Who's going to have the vaccine is really dictated by the state. The first was the essential workers. The second was X, Y, and Z. Being a senior, they just okayed the 65 and over. I have many questions about this. Number one is 65 and over. I go on the website and you can get the vaccine, you can get an appointment. And I attended a health and hospital meeting the other day. And what they were saying is that the way, and they're doing the website, the way the website works is that they have X amount of vaccine and they schedule days for that. And this is not just for Kings County, this is for the whole Manhattan. And what happens is that you have to continuously, and I don't agree with this, by the way, you have to continuously go on the website to book an appointment. And it's really, in my mind, sort of random and not appropriate, but that's the way it is. So if I'm 65 and over and I go on the website and there's no appointments, available, if someone cancels an appointment, that appointment will appear, but I don't think most people could spend all that time on the website. So we'll see what's happening. More importantly and more dangerous in my mind is that I heard from the news, Mayor de Blasio said we're going to be running out of vaccine in 3 days, which is totally unconscionable. And we receive our vaccine allocations from the state, and the state from the federal government. So that's something we're going to have to wait on. But at the present time, if you're 65 and over, you can at least apply for a vaccination appointment. If you're an essential worker, and there's a whole bunch of things. But at this point in time, from what I'm looking at, it's not a great situation. The one thing I will recommend is that anyone who has an immunity problem or they have 65 or older, keep going to the website, because getting the vaccine is totally important, as well as getting enough people immunity in order to have the vaccine to be effective.
Okay, you say keep going to the website. I don't know what the website is. And second of all, I just was questioning why, Kings County didn't have like a site for people to either get an appointment or go into. I was just questioning because.
Okay, I can answer that very easily. King County is part of Health and Hospitals Corporation, and those things are done through the central office's website. So they don't have individual websites, so that's what you have to do. And I would suggest just Googling NYC COVID vaccine. You'll see all the websites. But I checked them today, and none of them had any appointments. So, my personal decision is not to pursue that. But I'm also very interested to hear how the state's going to give us more vaccines, because it's not in the problem of administrating them. I think that at Kings County Hospital, I've seen the vaccine setup, and it's extremely efficient. I was told today they're doing between 200 and 300 vaccine shots a day, which is a lot when you think about it. So I would just, actually, I don't have a recommendation. You have to wait to see what pharma is going to do.
From what I've been told, there are no more vaccines that are available to the public at this point in time.
That's incorrect.
Even though there are appointments and people have stated in the community, let me finish, Warren Burke.
But it's incorrect.
People have stated in the community that they had no problem with getting appointments, but they've had problems with getting the shots.
Okay, I can't speak for the community.
That there are no more vaccines available to
them. That's completely wrong.
Okay, whatever you say, Warren, whatever you say.
Okay, we are not arguing right now.
Excuse me, everybody. Fred, hold off. What Alicia is saying is totally wrong. If Alicia wants to go to Kings County Hospital tomorrow and not get a shot because she doesn't have the vaccine, but if you go tomorrow and view the people getting the vaccines, you'll see that it's total hypocrisy. Thank you.
Well, I think the whole point, what this does boil down, order of the day. What does boil down to, it speaks to the importance of the reason why we're having the presenter come in next week, because I think that there is information that we need to make sure we're clear on, whether it be with regards to how vaccine is, where it's available, who can get it, when is eligibility established, and still things as well. But I'm looking forward to that. I think this is something that's very, very useful, especially at this given time. Debbie, I see you, and then we're going to move on to the agenda.
Okay, so I want to, I want us to agree with Alicia only because I personally sent an email letter to the governor and the mayor pertaining to the lack of vaccines and the requests being made by different organizations for the vaccines. So Alicia is correct. And this letter just went out.
Alejandra, I see you, and then we're going to move on.
I just want to add that you know, I'm also on the Community Advisory Board of Kings County, and the job that Kings County, the state, the city have done has been nothing short of heroic in terms of getting the vaccine distributed. Unfortunately, the shortages are out of the control of both city officials, state officials, and the local hospital. They were lied to. They were told that there was millions of additional doses of vaccines, and it turns out that they were not available from the federal government. And so it caused an issue where vaccines were used up with the expectation that there were additional ones coming that were stockpiled. There were none stockpiled. But I would expect, and I think this is an area that's going to change a lot in the next month. My understanding is I read through President, or not president yet, but President-elect Biden's plan, and the National Guard, FEMA, and others are going to start to get involved in distribution, and we could see a massive uptick in distribution. And so I think, you know, hopefully the Health and Social Services Committee can stay on top of it, and Warren can keep informing us from the local side, but hopefully we'll start to see some progress in this area over the next month or two.
Mr. Chair, I had my hand up, but I don't think you saw me because I'm in the dark.
I did not see you. All right, so we will let you, and then we're going to move on after that.
Yeah, I just wanted, if you know of anyone, neighbors, or especially the elderly people who have had the vaccine, they have to continue wearing the mask, because a lot of people, they are under the impression that because they took the vaccine, that they have to go out there and just enjoying the fresh air, but it's not so, because the new strain, you can still catch the COVID, you know, with the new strain that's coming, because they don't have a vaccine for the new strain also. And then I know a lot of people, they're afraid to take the flu vaccine, but within this new strain coming in, it's very important that we consider and take the flu vaccine. Continue to wear the mask.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so as was mentioned, so we are going to have somebody from Kings County. We are going to have a medical representative who's going to be at, well, we're going to schedule for the agenda on Tuesday, so they'll be able to speak to that. And I encourage community members to come out as well to ask those questions. And if we find that there are still more questions after that, I would definitely like for CB9 to take a larger role in terms of creating a larger platform to address some of these issues as well.
And that's all I was really, you know, asking, is because people need to know where to go, you know, because there's been like sites that people have like keyed into, and that was not even for real. So in our community, people really need to know where to go, because I saw something that came out from Community Board 9 about, you know, that the seniors could get transportation if they really couldn't get around, but the transportation to nowhere is what I see if there's nowhere to go, and that's my only concern.
Okay, thank you very much for that. All right, and thank you very much again, Fran, for the Health and Social Services Committee report. Next, Alejandra, would you like to give a report for housing?
Housing did not meet this month, unfortunately. Okay. I was unable to convene a meeting.
Oh, okay. That's what happened because I couldn't get on because of the platform that you guys were using. I mean,
yeah.
But if you didn't have it, then that was...
We didn't have a housing meeting.
Yeah. Are you going to still use that platform? Because, you know, that... What's the name of that platform? I don't know what it is. Not the Zoom platform. It's the other platform.
WebEx?
WebEx, and that's going to be addressed as well. We'll be covering that as well.
Because that's just a horrible platform. I can't, you know, okay.
No, that's what's on the agenda. We're going to discuss that.
Okay, good.
Let's see. Matthias, are you on the line? Matthias, can you hear us? Matthias, are you watching a movie? All right, we'll come back to him. Pat, do you have a report for Euler?
Yes, we met in January, and I did send my minutes to the community board, and everybody should have them hopefully tomorrow. And Fred, I did get your email, and I see that 960 Franklin Avenue is still pending certification. So according to what you wrote, it's going to go forward. And then we briefly discussed bill number 2186, that the speaker from the city council, Corey Johnson, he wants to amend the city charter master plan. So, I mean, I got some material from everybody. Alicia, I got your material, but it's a lot to read. You know, it's almost like I'm in school now. I'm reading so much. But anyway, that's a comprehensive planning proposal. And I will be reading it in detail, and the rest of us should be reading it in detail. But it's not really new. They're just doing an amendment, and correct me if I'm wrong. So it's an amendment that they basically want to do. And it's supposed to go into effect April 15th, 2023. And my next meeting, or our next meeting, is supposed to be February 12th, 2020. So there's a lot that will be on the agenda. And that's basically all I have to say.
I would just like to add that a lawsuit had been filed against the Gowanus rezoning, and they asked for a temporary restraining order against their certification because of the virtual. They had been granted the temporary restraining order. The city had challenged it, went to the second department, and the second department has upheld the temporary restraining order. So the second department feels that to have a EULA process that's virtual might be a problem. And so we have to think about that if the Department of City Planning plans on moving forward with the certification of 960, there might be a problem because you have to do virtual hearings as a part of the EULA process. And so we have to consider that as well moving forward.
Okay.
Because there's now a challenge that the second department feels like it's a valid challenge to not allow a certified application to move forward. So that application has not been certified. It was supposed to be certified today, it's not certified. So, and it impacts upon us. And also the two cases are now, our case and their case is now in front of the same judge.
Hi, it's Warren. Alicia, I saw your picture in the paper, and I just wanted to say good work.
I didn't, when was my picture in the paper? And what?
Oh, okay. It was in the Courier News.
The Courier News. And what was it about?
Yeah. It was about what you just spoke about, and I thought it was great work. So congratulations.
That's not my work. That's the Gowanus people.
No, that was your picture. Look, I'm not going to argue whether it was your work.
I don't know.
All right.
I tried to give you a compliment. And
okay. All right. Okay.
I appreciate
and you can't even take that.
Right?
Very well. Okay. Order of the day. Order of the day. Thank you. Okay. All right. So, are there any other questions for the ULURP chair? Okay. Seeing none. Thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you.
Matthias, are you on? Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Do you have anything you would like to say with regards to youth services?
Is Primo's not in?
I do not see him online.
Okay, he would be the guy, really. I missed the last meeting, so I wouldn't be able to really give a proper update.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So just coordinate with Primo to make sure that the report gets logged in with the office, and we'll get the information that way.
Gotcha.
So that's fine.
Yeah. I think I just had a quick comment. They're planning a youth financial literacy event in March. So that's the next event. A financial empowerment, financial literacy event for the youth in March. That's their next project.
Very good, very well. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that update as well. Are there any other chairs that I did not recognize? And my apologies in advance if I did.
You didn't recognize the search committee update.
Alejandro, do you have any additional information you wanted to give with regards to the search committee?
No, the search committee hasn't met, and we have no other updates from the search committee.
Well, you have to do an update on what happened at the meeting.
Well, actually, they've already made their recommendations. So right now it's board business, and there will be an update when I give my executive report, when I give my chairman's report.
Okay, because I would like to see what happens is then that goes in, and then I can't make a comment on that. So I want to be able to make a comment on that. So we've been letting you make comments
all evening, so
no, but
you're the only one here. You're the only one here.
I understand that. You know, I always represent the community. So I would like to either be able to make it now or make it after your comment. You tell me.
If you would like 3 minutes, you can have 3 minutes now.
Okay. What I know is that at the end because the community board chose not to do ranked choice voting, you wind up with 2 candidates, basically almost 50-50, and the other 2 candidates were not chosen. I know who the 2 candidates are, so I'm giving you an opportunity to sit there and disclose that information to the public, because both of those candidates work for, one works for a state agency and the other one works for a city agency. So the idea that you're hiding the information to protect them makes no sense, because those jobs are secure. The city and the state cannot fire somebody because they're looking for another job. However, the concern that we had was the fact that these 2 candidates, one we felt might have had more education and even a little bit more experience, were and one had very low entry positions, had no experience, and I think a lot of people were concerned about that. And community residents are concerned about that. And one of the things we kept saying is, here we have right within our district office 2 very qualified employees that have been working in our community board for the last 3 to 4 years. And we just can't understand why is it the board is not considering those 2 people as far as qualifications, especially the fact that they come from the community, they have the experience, they're qualified to do the job, they meet all the minimum qualifications, and yet we're struggling to get someone outside. The young man in particular is low entry position for 2 positions. I mean, come on, he's so young. He's just graduated from school in 2017. How is he gonna be the head of a community board? And then, it's just, he has no experience. He comes from Tennessee. He has, doesn't know anything about our community. And yet we want to put him as the head of the community board. Now, the young woman, yeah, she has a little bit more education. She's a lot more knowledge. She seems to be a lot more knowledgeable. But again, right within our community board, we have the possibility of hiring a district manager who comes from inside. We have a relationship with Ms. Hilton. People know her, community board residents know her, board members know her, they know the caliber of who she is. She lives in our community, and we just can't seem to understand why this board is not choosing her, and we have to go outside. And so if the community board chooses not to disclose these two people, I will be disclosing those two people and telling the community what their backgrounds are, what their experiences are, and say, why isn't the board willing to get behind the people who already have proven themselves to be competent in this job? And I think a lot of board members felt the same way, like these two candidates just did not have the experience. And yet we have the experience right here. And so I'm just asking the board, Fred, if you would like to do what you promised, and that is disclose to the community the two people who are running, who are now running against each other, so that it would appear as if there's some transparency happening at the community board. And that's it. And also consider hiring inside our community board. And, because there was also a question that some people felt like because these two people were, this might be just a stepping stone for these two people, that they might just want to be going somewhere else. So these are all the issues that I think we need to be considering. If we have someone who's, that people like and is professional and done the job and has the experience and meets the qualifications, there's nothing that stops this board from hiring within. Nothing. And we don't understand why this board is not considering that.
Thank you very much, Ms. Boyd.
Before you respond, I just want to say one thing, if it's okay. And this really
actually, Pat.
Why not? Why not, Fred? Why don't you let us speak?
Because as the chair of the board, I act as the spokesman in terms of what we are doing. So I am fulfilling my duty. Thank you very much for your comments. We are still, Ms. Boyd.
To community residents.
We are still, the board in its transparency has adopted a process in open session. The process was discussed, adopted. The committee has done everything per that process. The process calls for deliberation by the board. Per that deliberation by the board, it will make a decision. If a decision is made to render an offer to any of the candidates that have been offered by the search committee, they will proceed with the process as we've described. So, as we are still in conversation, it is not appropriate for me to comment on those deliberations because nothing has been made final. At the time, determinations have been made by the board. Those will be shared with the public as appropriate in accordance with all city regulations and open meetings laws and every other applicable regulation.
You'll be seeing an email from me tomorrow to the community.
Thank you very much, Ms. Boyd.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
About if you're trying to hide.
Moving on in the agenda, we are now going to the office administrative check-in. Yeah, do you have anything you'd like to share with the exec and the office and the chairs?
Sure. Just one item I'd like to report. The community board has received the agency responses in connection with our statement of needs and budget requests that we submitted this fall. As we all know, our letter of comment is due February 16th. This letter of comment tells us further advocating for projects that we deem important, and also the establishment and conducting a public hearing. What I will be doing is, in collaboration with CLEAD, is creating another Google form, disseminating the responses to the community, to the board membership, soliciting input so that we can draft this letter with a tentative date of February 10th for that public hearing. So I'm assuming Khalid and I will collaborate sometime tomorrow and perhaps have the Google form out within the next day or so to the membership, and then blasting out to the community this Friday. And we'll be taking input leading up into the hearing on February 10th with closing out a deadline of February 12th, that Friday, for input. Additionally, I'll be reaching out to the committee chairs to solicit input in terms of projects that they deem important for their respective committees heading into the public hearing. But also, after the letter of comment, I thought that it would also be important to break these projects down by council district and create agendas after the fact and schedule meetings to meet with these respective council members to advocate further for these projects. For our council members who are outgoing, if they can't make these projects a priority for fiscal year 22, which begins July 1st, then the board should take the task of creating a standing agenda for incoming council members for these respective projects. And that's about it.
Okay. I mean, I do have a question. We have not gotten anything about the monies coming into the community board and what's happening. We know that the district manager position has not been filled for over 6 months. So now we are now in we have a surplus in regards to that particular line. Has the community board been using that money?
No, we haven't been directed. Actually, we've just sustained another budget cut for fiscal year 21 and another directed cut for fiscal 22 ahead of the fiscal year's beginning in July 1st. So as it stands, we haven't been directed to draw down any additional funding into our budget, and I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen. As of this last budget cut, I believe it was over $8,000. I don't think, and it's a part of our, actually, when we disseminate the budget responses, you'll see that OMB responded that a part of the community board savings plans is a reduction of our funds. When a part of our budget request was an ask for additional funding for the standing community board budget for staffing, and a part of that savings plan was for an additional $8,700 deduction of our standard budget. Which we haven't received any additional input or feedback from our council members because as it stands, some of the community boards can't pay their standing bills. There are some boards now due to this this last round of reductions that can't pay for some simple things such as copy machines. So we haven't.
But what I'm saying is that because we have not spent the money for the district manager, you're allowed to take some of that money and
but this due to the current state of affairs, I don't think that we haven't received any word that we'll be able to draw down this year, just because of the state of affairs.
Right. As Mia had mentioned, there have been a number of cuts that the office budget has sustained. So the excess funds that would have been paid in salary, some of those are being used to actually offset the cuts. So we don't really have a surplus. We can probably continue operating without a significant, I'm not gonna say no impact, without a very, significant impact. Fortunately, I think that's not a matter of we're gonna see any reductions in staff or it's gonna affect our staff in that way. But I think we're just able to continue to operate as normal, at least through the end of the year. So obviously it's like we're still keeping an eye in terms of what, if there's any restoration of funds from the federal government, in terms of if there's state and local government aid that's going to be coming. But until that comes, right now we've had to tighten our belts. Fortunately, I guess the one benefit from not having the position filled is that we were able to absorb some of that. So we haven't had to make any other really drastic decisions.
Right. Yep, and that's about it.
Okay, are there any other questions for the assistant district manager? Okay, seeing none, I just wanted to, and before I go into my my chairman's report, I just wanted to really give a shout out Tamia for her hard work with regards to the new website, which we have been able to launch. So I know that it was a very big issue in terms of our old website, the functionality. It was very difficult. So she spearheaded this project in terms of being able to get this done. We're up and we're running. I think it gives us a lot more flexibility. It enables us to communicate better. And I just wanted to thank you and Khalid as well for all your help in terms of making that come to fruition. And we're just, we're really excited. And I think it's one of the things that we had talked about in terms of when we started the year, technology upgrades. I think the website was really a big one on that list, but we're trying to continue to find ways to make sure that we're more effective, we're leveraging technology better. And this is really a big first step. So thank you very much, Mia. I really appreciate it. And with that, I'm going to go into my my chairman's report. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me just pull up some notes. Okay, so as I said, I think at the beginning, so we are really kind of entering the second half of our year. The first half has definitely been challenging, obviously dealing with COVID, with the budget constraints, the budget fallout, with regards to that as well. But I really want to thank everyone for their responsiveness and for really pitching in and helping out and sticking with it as we're going through this process. With regards to the DM search, so the committee, as of last month, had rendered their recommendations. So we did have 2 special meetings. Unfortunately, with both of those meetings, we did not have quorum, or we lost quorum during those meetings. So our second one, we will continue the conversation at the January board meeting. We will continue deliberations, and the board will come to a decision about how it wishes to proceed with regards to the candidates that are presented by the search committee. I believe that our assistant district manager has already addressed the budget hearing process. So that'll be something that's coming forward. We're going to be scheduling a hearing in which public commentary will be taken as well. And we're also going to be developing a process where we can get input with regards to the response going for the budget. The website, I think we've already said, again, kudos to Mia for getting that up. With regards to ULURP, I think 2 of the big items that we have are the city master plan proposal that has come up. I think we are trying, well, as a board, we're going to try and endeavor to try and get additional information with regards to this. One of the discussions we're going to do is we are going to reach out to the city council to see if we can actually have a presentation done, which explains the purpose, the legislative intent, how this affects different elements of the current zoning processes and all the other processes for building and construction and development in the district and in the city, period. I think that we need to make sure that we have that clarity as we go forth, so that way we can make sure that we can register our objections, if there are any objections, or how we think that the process needs to be approved. But this will be a conversation we're going to try and see if we can bring additional resources, so that way we can all get educated about this process. With regards to the 960 Franklin Avenue project, so as a follow-up to the last ULURP meeting, I did commit to having a conversation with Department of City Planning to get the status of that. And I did share with the ULURP committee that the applicant has indicated that they did want to proceed with the process. So with that being said, I think that DCP is just including in terms of gathering the materials. So what will probably happen is the expectation is they might be able to get certified as soon as February. So it could happen anywhere to early to mid-February. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with that. If there are any other events that happen in between that, it may push the deadline or affect the process altogether. But all we're doing is we're committed, myself and the district office, in terms of as we get information, we're going to make sure that it gets out to the ULURP so that way we can act in a timely fashion to make sure we address this application. That way we can have the hearings if necessary, bring in the applicant as soon as we can as well to answer questions about the proposal, and ultimately come up with a resolution as to where we stand as a committee with regards to this proposal. Now, the last piece I have, and I think this is kind of this is a segue from the point with regards to our special meetings. So we've already had issues with attendance in terms of losing quorum twice. I think that from the very beginning, early on this year, we've set the expectation in terms of we try our best to make sure that we keep the meetings moving, that we stick to the agenda, we accomplish our agenda as quickly as we can. But that also does call for the commitment on the part of our membership in terms of understanding when we have an agenda, it's the work that this board must do. So we require everyone to stay committed to that. But in addition to that, I think that with reviewing the attendance, we've also found that we have a certain number of members who have definitely fallen short with regards to the commitment in terms of attending board meetings. The requirements are pretty straightforward with regards to the bylaws and to the charter with regards to attendance, and substantial non-attendance is a grounds for dismissal from the board. So I've requested from the district office staff to compile information with regards to board member attendance. They were able to come back, and I think that part of what the issue is and part of what's shocking is we do have a substantial number of members who have not been attending meetings as required. And in looking at the information that we've identified, 9 members who have been to 40% or less of the scheduled meetings for the year, which is not acceptable. So what I am putting forward before the executive committee is a list of 9 members, and as identified by the district office staff, who have attendance less than 50%. In most instances, it's 40% or less. So with regards in alignment with the bylaws, I am putting forward the following names to be sent letters with the charge of removal from the board for substantial non-attendance. The members who are going to receive the letter are the following: Stuart Balberg, Virginia Bechtold, Verlene Dozier, Shlomo Zalman Hecht, Melanie Lewis, Menachem Margolin, Robert Mitchell, Yakov Pearson, Mary Wallerson Blackett, Desma Ross, and Linda Watson Lord. This time I'll entertain.
Can you put those names in the chat?
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to move forward with the charges for removal.
Can I just ask a question? Are you also including the attendance at the special meetings as well?
Only one. One meeting we were not holding against members, the second one we were. So there are a total of 5 meetings that were. The special meeting that was held in December, it was noted by the chair that we would not hold that attendance or absence from that meeting against anyone in terms of if you were absent, that's not going to be held against you. But we do have 5 meetings that attendance was required. So those are duly called meetings of the board. And with regards to all those meetings, we have a number of members who were absent from more than 50% of those meetings.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Well, hold on. Let me just get the motion. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
So made, Warren Burke.
I have a move by Warren Burke. Do I have a second?
Second, Riel.
I need it from a member of the exec.
Oh, sorry. Always make the mistake. Thank you.
No, not a problem.
Second.
I have a second by Francisco Leopold. Okay, now we'll open up the floor for questions. I'm sorry.
I want to make sure I have the names accurately for minutes. So if you could just quickly either repeat them or put them in the chat. I don't know what's easier for you.
Absolutely. Let me see. I'll see if I can get them in the chat. Hold on one second. Just bear with me. Okay, so
if
while I'm doing that,
I can put them in the chat. Just tell me the names. I'll put them in the chat.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the names: Stuart Balberg, Virginia Bechtold, Verlene Dozier, Shlomo Zalman Hecht, Melanie Lewis, Menachem Margolin, Robert Mitchell, Yakov Pearson, Mary Rollerson Blackett, Desma Ross.
Oh, hold on, you lost me after Hecht.
Okay. After Hecht, Melanie Lewis. Menachem Margolis. Robert Mitchell. Mary Rollerson Blackett. Desma Ross and Linda Watson Lord.
Now, isn't it my understanding that you first have to tell them and then they have the opportunity to defend themselves before you make a determination to remove them? Is this what this process is now going to be? Like you're just notifying them of your intention?
We notify them of the intention. They have the opportunity to come to the executive committee after we've notified, after the charges have been approved by the executive committee. We notify them of the intention. They have the opportunity to come to the next executive committee meeting, as well as the general board meeting, at which point a vote will be taken or an action will be taken.
And I also noticed that Eveline is not on that list, and yet she has not been coming to the executive board meetings nor the general board meetings. Is there any particular reason why her name has not been put on that list?
She's been medically excused.
Has anybody else been medically excused outside of Miss Eveline?
Not that I know of. That's the reason why they're on the list. Okay. But at this point, and just with regards to this as well, and I want to be very clear, I take no pleasure. There is no ghoulish delight in my heart over this. But as the chair, it is important for me that we function properly as a board. For all the weight that we have from members who do not show, it affects our ability to have quorum, to conduct the business, to maintain quorum, because we're always working against members who have not come. And particularly if you consistently not come, that becomes a tremendous challenge. And I want to be very clear about this as well. This is in no means a desire to embarrass anyone or to say that, kick somebody off the board. We give them, as per the bylaws, the opportunity to explain if there's a circumstance that warrants us saying, okay, well, listen, there was something extraordinary and, this member otherwise is committed to this board. But what this does is it calls them and holds them accountable and says, if there's something going on, let us know. Or, you know what, I think alternatively, I think I say this to all members, I understand there are bigger things in life than the board. I fully recognize that. To the extent that we can work with you, absolutely we will do that. But if the absences are because you have circumstances that are larger than the board, I don't want anyone to feel that they need to commit to the board. If you have things to take care of the business. Because at the end of the day, your family, your job, your health, those are the things that matter. The board will be here. And it's just an opportunity for you to say, okay, well, listen, let me handle those things and get my priorities taken care of. I can always come back to the board at a later point. But it is important for this board at this time to take these actions because we need to make sure that we can function.
Hey, Fred, it's Warren.
Yes, Warren.
What? You said before it's 9, I get like 11. So let's just correct the number.
I'm sorry, was it 11 on the list?
I believe it's like 11.
No, that's the final number. That's 9. The correct number.
What is?
The number that was presented.
So 9 is the correct number?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Chair, may I say something?
It's 10. Yes, please.
Somebody was saying something before me. Go ahead. I'll come.
No, I was saying that there were 10 names on there. On the list.
Correct.
Are there 10? Okay. I'm sorry. Let's pay more attention to the names. It's not so much the number; it's more the names in terms of these are the members that are being presented for that. We'll make sure for the records we'll correct that as necessary. But the names that's presented are the ones that we've identified as having attendance less than 50%.
All right, Fred. We just don't want you to get sued. That's all. Okay.
No. Okay. Thank you very much. very much.
Yes, I just want to say that also with the committees, and people are assigned to committees and they don't show up. They don't come to the communities at all. Even like for health and social services, there were only 2 persons who shows up at the committee meetings, and I have to check my list again. Is Melissa? She is the only person who was assigned from the committee members who comes to the meeting. The majority of the people, they don't show. So I usually have people who come in, but there are people outside, committee members, who just come to the community because they want the information and, you know, they're just doing health. But the board members who are assigned to the committees, they don't show up.
Okay, and thank you for that comment. With respect to committee membership, committee attendance counts as well. The initial analysis was done on general board attendance. So what I am going to be working with all the committee chairs that are present, that we're going to need to actually do a review to make sure that we identify those members who have not been doing their committee work as well. Yeah, so we're gonna need to identify those members as well. Because, I mean, to the same point where it affects your committees and your effectiveness as well if you're carrying a lot of weight, because obviously you have issues and challenges in terms of achieving quorum. If your members are not showing up the way they need to, you have trouble passing your agendas and doing all the other manner that you need to. So that is probably going to be the next step, in which we'll be working with all the committee chairs and identifying those attendance issues as well. And that information will be integrated, and we'll be keeping all that together, and decisions may have to be made in regards to, can people continue either on a committee or continue on the board.
I just want to say, if there are minutes generated from these meetings, it should indicate the people that were present and the ones that were not. So, you know, I don't know if the board is keeping tabs on that. I mean, I try to keep my own, but you know, that information is available now if people are doing their minutes.
Right. So we're going to work with the district office. We're going to work to see who has that information, and if there's information that we're missing, we're going to need the cooperation of the chairs in terms of making sure that information is supplied.
There's also the issue with one of the committees that has never met, and then you met last week, Fred, and nobody showed up. I mean, that committee has 0 attendance because the chair never. You know, what about that committee? How are you going to move forward with that committee? It's an important committee, it's the environmental committee. And, you know, we got environmental issues going on here. So.
Right, that committee, I'm working personally to stand that committee up. And we're looking at the membership of the committee as well. So there may need to be some adjustments made to the membership of that committee. But my intent is to make sure that that committee is fully stood up and it will be functional and operational, and we'll be addressing all issues. So there will be a meeting scheduled for next month. I will be working with the district office to identify the membership. We will be communicating with the members, and adjustments will be made as necessary, so that way we can stand up.
Hey, it's Warren. I just want to add that Yankee Pearson, who accepted the committee chair, is now getting a letter.
Getting a what?
A letter, Alicia. Didn't you just pay attention?
A letter?
He's on the list. He's on the list.
Oh, he's on the list?
A letter.
Oh, hold on. Maybe.
I didn't see him on the list.
He needs to be added on then.
Yeah.
It's on the list. He should be on the list.
Yeah, he should be. Yakov Pearson, yes. Please add him to the list.
Oh.
So he is going to go onto the list.
Yes,
no,
please add his name.
He's on the list. He should be on the list.
He's on the list. Yes, please add him to the chat. Alejandro, please make sure his name is included on the list.
May I ask another question, please?
Yes, please.
Concerning the board members, right? If for any reason we have one of our members and there is some sort of tragedy in the family or death in the family or whatever, if they are part of a committee, what I'm asking, can the board send them a card or something, you know, just to, you know, of sympathy or, you know, and they get something from the board?
Yeah, I mean, if you know those circumstances, absolutely, I think it's only appropriate we should. I mean, yeah, so I mean, I guess the answer is yes. If we do know circumstances, if somebody's going through something, I think it's only right that we should send cards of sympathy or condolences or whatever we have to do. But I think that's
because Melissa, she lost a member of her family, and I don't know if Mia, I don't know if Mia took any minutes, but she was the only person who usually come, and she's the one who, you know, take all the minutes and send the minutes back, because I try to scribble down some notes while I'm talking and interacting with everybody else, but she lost a member of her family that same day, and she was not able, you know. So I would like that we could send something to her.
No, absolutely. And to be clear, those are the kinds of circumstances I'm saying is like, listen, you know what? Obviously, that supersedes any committee meeting or board meeting. So the only expectation is let us know. Fine, I'm not going to bother you. It's a matter of we will easily excuse it. One of the prerogatives of the chair is to excuse an absence. The only thing I ask is you let us know. So if your communication with the chair or with the district office and you've told us, then that's fine. But it's just that we need to make sure that there is that accountability to the board, that people understand there's a responsibility to attend. And if you can't, just let us know. And if there's a reason to wait, we can excuse that absence.
I just have one other suggestion. You know, it might be nice if we also recognize the people who do show up and who has great attendance. I know that might be a little bit more formal, you know, giving them some kind of praise or certificate, but, you know, we tend to just penalize the people who don't show up. But what about all the people who do show up and who come consistently to the meetings, and like myself, not that I'm expecting anything.
It's funny as you say that, though.
It is funny.
I'm talking about the board members. I'm really talking about, you know.
That is really humorous.
No, it's funny as you say that, only because there was a point, I remember when I first started on the board, where in one of the first meetings of the year, the borough president's office actually used to give awards to all those members who had 100% attendance.
Okay. All right.
So this is from the Marty Markowitz era, so that's, you know, it fell off a little bit after that. But I do believe, I think you're absolutely right. I think that we should get more into a practice of, listen, when you have members especially who stand up and they do what they're supposed to do, go above and beyond, we should recognize that. I think so, absolutely, I agree with that. So that might be something that we're going to try and look to institute towards the end of the year in terms of see how we can play that out. But I agree. I think we should recognize those members who, you know, who take their commitment seriously and who they hold me. And that's not to say that people who don't show up don't take it seriously, but, well, you know what I had said. Yeah.
Yes.
100%, I think you should get recognized. Okay, are there any questions with regards to the list or the
Chair, I had a clarifying question. This is Riel.
Yes, please.
Just based on the experience in the special meeting the other day, and I think, you know, I've seen this happen on a couple of occasions. What happens with recording attendance for members who attend but then drop out, you know, mid-meeting? Look, I can't look into people's minds what their motivation is, but I certainly had the impression that there were some members who were not in agreement with the direction of the meeting and then decided to not, you know, continue participating, and we end up losing quorum. Is that how is that attendance recorded?
Well, that's going to be something that we're looking at on a go forward as well, because that is an issue. I mean,
absolutely,
to the point where, yeah, I mean, because, you know, listen, you know, when you drop off, I mean, understanding where it's like got late or pissed off about a conversation and you just didn't feel like doing it, I mean, we still lose quorum. So that is something that should be dealt with or recorded or reflected in the attendance somehow. So that is going to be one of the conversations I would like to have with our chairs. In terms of, I do have a policy that I think I would like to implement with regards to that, but I would like to have additional conversations before we go there. But I do believe that it is important that, yes, we need to, you know, listen, the expectation is, again, I think we try our best to make sure that we keep the meetings as short as possible, but sometimes we got to suck it up. and you got to stay because there's business that has to be done. We try and avoid the marathon sessions, but we're going to need people to just make sure that they're committed. And even when we can, we let people know in advance, listen, this is going to be a long one. So the only thing I ask is for people to understand that and please schedule accordingly and to make sure that, okay, well, listen, we're going to need you for the duration of any meeting that we need to do that.
So, Mr. Chair, just going along that side, there are people who do come in, and I think many of us who know that there are members, they would come in, but because of their work schedule, at a certain time, because we start at 7, and sometimes so much is going on, and sometimes I think that we waste time that we know we could have been along to do the things that we need to do. And then because of the work schedule, they would hang, they would have to leave. How do you deal with that? Do they have a choice? Well, go to work or stay on because of the voting? How would you handle that? Because it happened before, and that individual, it was presented maybe last year before COVID, 2019. It would have had that issue, that same individual, because of and so I've seen it happen many a times. That individual, who is one of the persons on the list, she would be there, but when it's time for roll call, then she's gone because of her work schedule. Sometimes she would put in the chat, I have to go, but when they call her name, she's gone, but she would have been there earlier. How do you deal with that?
Well, let me throw these thoughts out, but again, I'll leave it for the chairs. I think we'll have to have a larger discussion in terms of how we really appropriately handle this. Logistically speaking, when we call our meetings to order, we have a public session, which typically lasts it lasts for the better part of an hour. So with that being said, typically I really need to make sure that members are there by the time we call the call. That typically is not going to happen until maybe say 8:30. Because once we've done public commentary, once we have presentations and everything, that doesn't happen until 8:30. So people have that grace in terms of, okay, if you have something to do earlier, you can show up a little bit later. If you're there by 8:30, you'll still make initial roll call, and we can establish quorum. On the back end is where we have a lot of trouble, because I need people to make sure they stay for that as well. So it's like, great. And I think that's been a little bit of a game some people have played, where it's like, I'll make sure I'm there for roll call, and I can just fade to black and I disappear. And that's why we've had meetings in the past where we've lost quorum. That's an issue. And now I want to say this. Obviously, it's a full conversation. There's a reason why we endeavor to make sure the schedule goes out early. So most of the meetings are announced early. We try and make sure that committees are meeting on a fairly consistent basis. We are the first Thursday of the month, or the third Tuesday, or whatever have you. So that way people can appropriately schedule. I don't ask for all of your time, but I need you 10 times a year at the board meeting. And it goes back a little bit to what I was saying in terms of, you know what, if you have priorities, obviously I'm not going to ask somebody to make a choice between putting food on the table and a community board meeting. But that might mean people need to make choices. If they can work around it, yes. If not, understood, absolutely. You have other priorities. The board is always here. So if this year is not a good idea, maybe next year works better for you. Or maybe there are other ways you can make a contribution to the board and to the community. But ultimately, we do need to make sure that when people are committed to be board members, they are coming to the board meetings and going to their committees, which is the expectation for all board members.
But Fred, I think when it comes to the special meeting, 4 hours is just daunting for people. I mean, I don't think that you could penalize people for that 4-hour marathon. It was just a lot. And I don't think, I think most people stayed as much as they could. I know I wasn't even at the meeting, so I could imagine how people were being brain dead by the 4 hours. It's just, it's daunting. I don't think that people should be penalized for a special meeting that just went on for 4 hours.
No, the understanding is always this. It definitely is daunting. I'm not saying it's easy. I am definitely not going to be the one to say that it's easy. But I will also share that I think the expectation was sent out before. But first of all, let me say this. Part of the reason why we even called the special meeting is because I think that there was a realization on our part that the work that needed to be done was way too big to even try and accomplish in a general board meeting. So if you're talking about a long, that was going to be long. Imagine if we had even tried to have that during a general board meeting, which means none of the other business that we have would get done. So the determination was made to have the special meeting devoted just to having that piece. And even in that piece, we knew that it was going to be a long one just by virtue of the fact that we had a piece of work in terms of there were going to be interviews that had to be conducted, which was by itself going to take at least an hour and maybe a little bit, an hour, a little bit more. And then after that, with other conversations that have to happen. I really, really hesitate to even try and ask for a special meeting at any given point, because I understand that, we've already asked people to commit these fourth Tuesdays of the month. People have scheduled for these things, people have budgeted time, people have other commitments. But again, at some point, sometimes we have to bite the bullet on these things. And, it hurts everyone to be on a 4-hour meeting, but it hurts us even worse if by the end of the 4-hour meeting, we have accomplished nothing and we haven't accomplished the agenda we set out to do, which is part of the reason why we do hold people accountable for that. All right. Are there any other? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Debbie. Let's see. We'll just see a couple more questions, and then I do want to call the question just so that way we don't have for our meeting tonight.
Yeah, I want to. Since you cut me off before, I want to ask one after Debbie.
I just want to say that we have to be more consistent with schedules in terms of the meetings, because the committee meetings has been all over the place, and that's easy to throw people off. Because I mean, some of us are not just on the community board. We do have other meetings outside of that we do. So when things are all over the place, it makes it difficult as well. So I think we need to focus on that as well, and not just create a schedule for every month. I mean, just do it for the entire year. If a meeting happens on a particular day, I mean, and I've been saying this for a long time, and I think, there's a problem with that as well. So we need to focus on that and make sure that that's in place. If you have the Jewish calendar, there's no reason why we have to do a month-to-month, thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's what I think we need to focus
on. No, very quickly to that point. I think that the expectation was, or that was the guidance given to chairs to really kind of pick a day. So you're the first Mondays of the month, the second Tuesdays of the month, or whatever have you. Now, this is not to say that obviously some days you're going to have the first Monday or the second Tuesday or whatever else. The district office, we've asked them to maintain a calendar in terms of if we know that there are conflicts. Certain months we already know are very difficult. For example, we always know that November is a tough month, December is a tough month. Right. And I already apologize in advance because I know that we had a conflict with regards to December. That's one I'll take. I take the responsibility, for that one in terms of the scheduling for that one. But otherwise, the guidance is for chairs to try and be consistent. In other words, pick a day. You're the first Monday, second Tuesday, whatever it is. We just ask that most of the chairs stay within that first 2-week time period, just because we know we have our exec by that 3rd week, typically. And we can just make sure that, we can reiterate with all the chairs to just review their calendars for the rest of the year. So that way, at least they can give their committees what the calendar is going to be for the rest of the year, or at least identify conflicts early. So that is something that we're going to work with all the chairs in the district office to accomplish.
But if the meeting is happening consistently on a particular, let's say the first Monday, the second Monday, or whichever. Then
most of them do. So I know that there's a couple of conflicts here and there, and I know there's postponements, but typically most of them do.
That's going to be the yearly calendar. I mean, I've seen other community boards in Manhattan do this. And I don't understand why we can't do it. We can do that. For that, we can also include the general board meeting on that same calendar, and just have one thing. So that's just something to put out there.
Okay. No, appreciate the suggestion. Pat, I saw you had a question.
Yeah. And since you cut me off before, I'm gonna just say this. This is where I have a problem. I don't disagree with Alicia, but what I do have a problem with is that if you ask us to go into executive session, there's no way, and we're identifying people by numbers, there's no way that Alicia knows more than we know. And so my point that I'm making is there is a leak within our board. And that's all I got to say. Because there's no way that she should know more than what I know.
You
and
got
we went to executive session.
You got 50 people that sat there and saw videos. Do you really think that that was going to be hidden from the community? Like, we don't have feelers, like we don't got people that we know. Remember, I'm a community activist. I know hundreds of people in this community. People talk to me, people tell me things. I mean, you can't keep that kind of stuff a secret. Really? You really think you could do that? I mean, yes, in a small committee, maybe. But once you put it out to the board, come on, people. Come on. And y'all go, you guys should know me by now. I find out shit. That's my job. So, I mean, we don't have access to their resume, but we do have access to their LinkedIn page. That's a public.
How do you know their names if we went by numbers?
Well,
okay,
I'll we're going to go back to the agenda. So with that being said, okay, well, I think we've asked all the questions. We're going to call the question. So all those members in favor of the motion, please say aye.
What's the motion?
This is the motion to adopt the charges and to send the letters to the members stated for removal.
Oh.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Fran?
I said aye.
Okay. All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Vivi, on the line?
I said aye. You didn't hear me?
Okay. No, I didn't. So I just wanted to make sure for the record. Okay. So I have it unanimous. I have it unanimous. The motion carries. So I will work with the district office to make sure the letters go out. And again, just to be clear with regards to the process, the letters will go out. The members will have the opportunity to address the executive committee and to address the board. So if there are any questions with regards to the attendance, if there are extenuating circumstances, they will absolutely have an opportunity to speak to us and see what we can work out with regards to resolving this. So that way the board can continue and function. And again, yes.
I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit skeptical with, I understand with the committee, the executive committee and the board, but usually when the board meets, are you going to call a special meeting with the board? Because usually when we have the executive board, we have people from outside, you know?
We do, but there's no executive session.
Right.
I'm sorry?
There's no executive session on this.
There's no executive session.
I know, it's just that I just feel that something like that, it is something that, you know, that we talk about it and give them a chance to come and that's just my feeling. I know that's per the bylaw it has to be, but it's just that, as you say, you don't like embarrassing people. That's just
no. And I want to be very clear. This is definitely not. I'm not trying to make anybody do a perp walk or a walk of shame. You know, that's not the point of this. This is a point for accountability. If there are things definitely that should not be discussed in public, we will be respectful and we will try and tackle that as we can. But right now, I think we just need a response from members in terms of why you're not here and are you going to?
I know that we went through that before. It was something that was done. Where is it? Oh, I know it was something that was done before, but it was a while. So I don't. So if any of the members that the letters was sent to, and when they do come to the community, to the executive committee, and the excuses are valid excuses, then you will still take them to the board, to the general committee. You're muted.
Yeah, my computer just developed a life of its own. If there's a really valid excuse, obviously we can have a conversation about that. We can see how we can resolve.
Okay.
But it's just on the members just to let us know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I thank everyone for the vote. And we are now going to the, sorry, I lost my agenda. Next item on the agenda should be actually setting the agenda for the next meeting, correct? Do you have it from
Debbie? Have her hands up.
Yeah.
Yes, Debbie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to make a quick comment. I mentioned this before a while ago. In terms of membership getting members for Community Board 9, and I think normally the chair does have some input in terms of the members that Borough Hall or the council member would bring on. So maybe, there needs to be a discussion in terms of, bringing people that are committed to, the work of the board and the community. I think that, that's a problem. We don't just need people on there just to say, okay, I'm a board member. I mean, you have to, it tells you, the charter tells you what the requirements are, but I think there also needs to be a discussion with the council members and the Borough Hall, the borough president, in terms of, which I'm sure that they're aware of, what's going on CB9. And given the chair input, hopefully, some of those issues can be resolved as well.
No, I think it's a good point. With regards to who gets on the board, I actually have precious little influence on that. I see them when everybody else sees them usually when the list comes out.
I've been doing or dealing with that type of work for a while, and I know that the chair normally has a say in terms of members coming to a board. So maybe
it hasn't been practiced with me, at least in my relationship with Borough Hall, it has not been practiced. But let me just say this though, to your point, I think you bring up a very good point.
Yeah.
I do think we need to have the conversation with people who put them on the board to let them know that this has been a chronic issue in terms of people keep falling off. So perhaps it's a matter of before they sign and they recommend someone, they should have the conversations in advance saying, as your appointer, you're going to make me look bad if I put you on the board and you don't show up. So maybe they should have that conversation in front before they actually do an appointment. So that way, by the time they get here, the expectations already been set. But I do agree with you. I think, and that's probably going to be the next one of the conversations we'll have to have as we're going to this next cycle.
I just wanted to piggyback on Debbie. I think that one of the things you probably could do is look at the community members who have been showing up at committees and making a contribution, and asking them from inside whether they would like to join. I know that happened with the chair. He was a part of the youth committee. What's his name? I don't know his name.
Primo.
Cuomo.
Primo Lozano.
Primo, right?
Lozano.
Primo
yes.
was one of those types of people. He came as, just participating, and now, he's doing wonderful. So maybe you can ask your chairs if they have community residents who are showing up and ask them to put an application in, because they are doing the work. And you would probably get more of a commitment from them because they already have a relationship and already doing the job. So I think that why can't you, Fred, say, oh, I got these 5 people that I would like to recommend, or even do as a reference. You could be their reference.
Well, because to that point, I typically, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish. To that point, typically, I let the chairs do that. So if you have somebody who's on your committee who's really doing a bang-up job, and I leave them because they work with them directly. As a chair, I don't necessarily have that insight into each committee and who's doing what, who's not. But I absolutely encourage the chairs. If you have somebody who's really doing the work, who really wants to make the commitment, please make sure you give them the link and let them know. I'm always available to have a conversation if anybody's more interested in terms of what the board's doing, how we operate, and I'll always keep myself available for that as well. To some extent, I think there is some vetting in terms of it probably helps if you have a board member recommendation. It probably helps as well if, well, I'm not even sure if it's a board member recommendation, but I know at least to the point where if they see on your application you have been actual committee member, for some period of time, I think it's been helpful in some cases.
So I guess what we would, as a community, would ask is that the chairs would reach out to their members who have been, making commitments and encourage them to to you know, apply, because I think the deadline is February, right? February 15th. So the deadline is right here. It's not that far. You know, it's not far away.
Right. Okay, Fran, I'm sorry, did we cut you off? Did you have a question or a comment you want to make?
No, I was just making a comment because I was saying that there were people who joined the board they never came to a meeting, and some people, just because they have a friend who is on the board, they just joined the board, but they come with no contribution. You know, they did, and then I know that there were boards that they asked them when they asked to come in, they asked them as to why, you know, you don't have to give a reason why. You don't just join the board just because you have a friend there. And we had that issue before. And I think Alicia is telling you that you have a say. And because it used to happen before, we used to have chairs, we used to go down to Borough Hall and choose people and give them people. And the people came and they were just like a rock. They were not contributing anything, because you rightfully say, and I agree that you should have a say as to recommending people, but us as community chairs, that we can recommend those people. These are the people, 3 or 4 persons on my committee from the community who've been attending the meetings and they have been contributing. And then you would have to ask them first if they're interested, because there are people from the community, they just come in because they love their community, they want to see what's happening, they want to contribute, but they don't want to be part of the board of itself, you know, because they have other things to do. They don't want to commit, right. You know, but then a lot of the people, they just come and they just come in just because they want to have their name, it looks good on their resume. They're on the board, they're a board member, but not coming to, you know, to contribute something for the community as well, so.
Oh yeah,
so I guess that's a good idea that the chairs should do that. It's a good idea.
Absolutely, because you will know better than I would. You're in a better position to know who's actually doing the work and who's just coming in because it's like, I needed something on my resume, so I'm just gonna put this in here.
But don't forget, okay. City Council has people that they put on the board that you don't even know. So you can't. So my point is, it doesn't just come from Fred. It comes from your City Council who has a certain amount of seats. Right.
Oh, no, and that's going to be one of the things. I'll definitely make sure that we're going to have a conversation with the council members as well to let them know this is a chronic issue. We're like, listen, and I think it's all across the board from all the members. It's like, you know what, you got people that you're sending up and it's not working out. So maybe there's a different conversation your constituent services person needs to have before they say, well, are you going to put me on? So they may need to have a deeper conversation before they decide to sign off and send it to Borough Hall. All right, I apologize, but I just want to make sure that we get the agenda. We're almost through. Okay, so with regards to, we are now up to item 5, the agenda for the general board meeting on Tuesday, January 26th. All right, so Alejandra, are you ready?
Yep.
Here we go. All right, public session. So we're going to call the meeting to order. Rules of conduct. We are going to have presentations. There are 2, I believe, we're having. Warren, who's the first presentation?
Hi, it's a doctor from Kings County Hospital. It was raised at our behavioral health meeting about rumors going around the community. So I would just entitle it Presentation from Kings County Hospital.
Well, you know what, just because I want to make sure, put down COVID, it's a COVID-19 vaccine presentation.
Yeah, COVID-19 VaxFax.
Okay, by Kings County Hospital, just so that way people know that this is something that should be addressed.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that one. Mia, do we also have another presentation? Is there another agency who's coming with the test and trace?
You have Monique Chandler Waterman, Brooklyn Borough Director, Test and Trace Corp, who will also be reporting on the vaccine. More so, I believe, locations.
Okay, so Test and Trace Corp on vaccination locations?
Yes.
Is that correct? On vaccination locations.
I'll confirm exactly what the extent of the presentation is tomorrow, but that's the gist.
Thank you very much, appreciate that. So we have those 2 presentations. There are no SLA applications, so that's not necessary. We are going to then go into public commentary on the agenda, and then we are going to have acknowledgements, and that'll conclude the public session. We're good so far? Okay. Then we're going to go into the business session. Business session, we're going to open with the roll call. We're going to have the approval of minutes. We are going to have committee chair reports or committee reports. Debbie, did you want to give a treasurer's report this month, or you want to defer to another month?
February.
February, okay.
Yeah.
So then after committee reports, you can go into a chairman's report. Then you can go into voting session. Then you can go old business and new business and adjourn.
So when are you doing the search committee stuff?
Search committee stuff will probably be done as part of the voting session.
Are you doing interviews, or you got to tell the community something?
Right, there are no interviews. That'll be determined in terms of, it will be discussed. I think what the next steps are, we'll have to discuss. That'll be determined at the meeting.
At the meeting, you're going to be discussing what?
The DM search. I will include that as part of my chairman's report. And if there's any additional work, we will continue from there. It'll either be a voting item or possibly an executive session.
Can I make a motion to accept the agenda, please?
I'm still asking a question. So you are going to be.
I'll repeat that. Can I make a motion to accept the agenda?
Just to try to get some clarity. So you guys are planning on having a discussion about the DM position?
Correct.
And the possible vote?
There may be. We'll discuss it, and if there's a vote, it'll be taken care of during the voting session.
Okay. So shouldn't the public be aware of that? Shouldn't that be an item on the agenda that the DM position is going to be discussed in the possible vote, so that the public is aware that the DM position is going to be discussed and possibly voted on?
That's fair enough. Under the chairman's report, please put an item for DM search.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'll entertain the motion.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I have a motion by Warren Burke. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Francisco Leopold. Are there any other questions? Anything else that needs to be included? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor of the agenda as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Any abstentions? No abstentions. Please record a unanimous vote. The agenda has been adopted. Okay. All right. So I want to thank everyone right now. So I think, is there any other business that we need to discuss? We're up to item 6. Is there any other business? I call for any other business.
And now we're going to transition to our first question.
Seeing none, I want to thank everyone for your time this evening. I appreciate all your time and energy.
Many of them pay taxes, are essential workers on the front line, and have been helping to keep this city running in the middle of a global crisis.
Could somebody move that mic? Oh, thank you. Okay. I want to thank everyone again, and look forward to seeing everyone next week, Tuesday. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 We stand adjourned. The time is now 8:51. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Be safe.
Good night, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.